We're going to dig into the clutches here. I'm going to go ahead and pull maybe a couple sensors off here that are going to be in our way. I'm going to prop this motor up. And we've got our oil filter over here. And then we've got our clutch cover here. Clutch cover bolts are off all the way around. I've removed the oil filter cover here. Here's the oil filter. You can see there we've got the open end facing towards the motor. Sets in there. Make sure that that O-ring or this seal in here is good. Same as on this side here. You also have an O-ring on the cover here that seals up around the outside or around the inside edge. You want to make sure that your bolts stay in the correct order there. They're specialty bolts that center that cover there. Obviously, we're going to throw this filter away. There's no bolts down in here. We can actually take and remove this clutch cover at this point. We also have an oil sensor down here, 2 Allen bolts. We'll take and remove that. And I like to just get this out of there right away just so we are not getting this sensor here damaged when we're pushing this motor around. So kind of just a cover there, a guard. It catches a lot of dirt, unfortunately. We can get that sensor off of there, just a plug there. You got an O-ring that seals that up. We'll set that aside. And we're gonna go ahead and pull this clutch cover out this time. Grab a rubber mallet. You can tap a couple different places here. It shouldn't take a lot to break that seal free. And then you can just lift up on this cover. As long as you have all the bolts out, it should come right up out of there. All right, there's a clutch cover there. We've got a gasket all the way around. You want to replace that whenever you dig into this clutch assembly here. We'll set this aside. You see that this one here has a cover. This is actually just a false cover here. It doesn't actually seal anything. So having the crack in this outer plastic piece here isn't a big deal. We're going to set that aside, kind of let that oil, we're going to let that oil just drip over there. Set that clutch cover aside as well. We're going to go ahead and pull that clutch. Got our oil pump here. We've got our crank gear here. Primary gear is what that is. And then we've got our clutch here. Shift mechanisms behind this clutch. So got 10mm bolts holding this clutch on, 5 of them. Your clutch adjuster is right here. Check my channel. I believe I've got a video of how to adjust the clutch on this model. We'll go ahead and remove these. What I'm going to do now is remove this top cover here. And a disc or 2 may come up with it. That's fine. I try to just pull up as least amount as possible there. Set that aside. I actually take and put this clutch back, this friction plate back down in there. I'm going to grab a flat screwdriver. And a hammer here. I'm going to flatten this keeper. We'll grab a socket big enough to fit that. While I'm doing it, while I've got the hammer in hand here, I'm going to go ahead and flatten this primary gear keeper as well. This is just because these parts are spinning so fast and there's so much pressure on these, they put in keepers like this to keep that nut from spinning itself off of there. A lot of times you can tell if this motor's been apart before because they'll have one tab that's already bent up. You can see there that tab's already bent up on this side, but they flatten this side here. And a lot of times you don't get that spacer back into the exact same position there. So somebody's been into this before, which isn't a big deal. Okay, we'll go ahead and pull this. This is 1 3/16" nut here. Regular threads, so turn it counterclockwise to remove it. We'll go ahead and remove this one as well. I like to try to keep this from spinning, so I like to hang on to it. And you can hang on to the clutch, and that'll keep this gear from moving. The reason why you don't want this to move is because these cam chains are still down into that crankcase. If that motor turns over, binds these cam chains down in the crankcase, could break the case where that guide mounts on. So keep that in mind. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and actually put this plate back on real quick while we're here. What this is doing when you adjust this clutch, you loosen this 10mm nut here, you screw in or out that Phillips screw. That's putting pressure on the ball, and there's a shaft that runs all the way through there. Putting pressure on just releases that clutch. If it's not If it feels like it's dragging or it feels like it's not releasing completely, I would adjust that accordingly. So we'll go ahead and put these back on. Looks like we're putting things back together. We're not. I'll show you why I'm doing this here in a bit. Now what I'm going to do is take and pull up on the actual clutch pack. There it is there. You've got your clutch basket that stays. If all we're doing is replacing this clutch pack here or clutch plates, friction or steel, no need to remove this basket, so you can leave that tied down there. This just removes that entire thing, kind of keeps it together. Now to remove this basket, you've got a washer on here that's got splines on it that actually has to line up perfectly with the splines that are on your transmission gear here. So that's why it doesn't just pop right off of there when I removed that larger bolt there. Go ahead and slide that up then you can take, at this point, and lift that basket up. Now what I do, take and put that keeper down in there. I'll set the friction and steel plates, that pack right down in there, keep that all together just like that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the oil pump. We've got a snap ring there. Remove the snap ring, or plastic gear will pop right off there. Underneath there, we've got 3 Allens that we're gonna remove. Now we're able just to pull that oil pump out of there, lift that up. Looks like we've got our relief valve on the bottom here that comes with it. I'm gonna take and put this all back together here so we don't lose this snap ring. Now this gear is able to pull up. You've got a Woodruff key that sits all the way through there, sits on this crank, and you wanna make sure that that stays together, or at least you know where that's at going back together. You do not wanna forget that, or your motorcycle isn't gonna go anywhere. We've got our shift shaft here. We've got our cam chain, our front cam chain here, and our front guide here. That's a 10 millimeter. We'll go ahead and remove that guide. There's the front there, and then our cam. We're gonna flip this motor over. I believe we've got a snap ring on the other side that's holding this shift shaft in. We'll remove that. We'll pull that shift shaft. We'll also remove the stator and the flywheel, the charging system on this motorcycle, and then we'll get ready to split this case.